Welcome to Toni Told Me, the home of hopefully now your favorite podcast, the podcast where you get the weekly tea, advice, guidance, and everything in between. If you're not following us on YouTube, please make sure you do hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your audio podcast. And guys, follow us on socials too, at Toni Told Me Pod. Today's episode is a solo episode. I'm going to be talking about overthinking. What is overthinking? So there are different types. Rumination, thinking about the past, or maybe even worrying about the future. It's just a repetitive cycle of replaying thoughts in a very unhelpful way. And I've been guilty of this. If you read my books, you know I've been guilty of this. I speak about this on social media all the time. And I thought it was about time I have a podcast episode on overthinking. But before we get into it, let me give you a life update. It's been intense. I just feel like I've been doing a million things at once. By the time you hear this, I would have had my introduction, which is great. The last episode, I think I mentioned actually, the episode with Tiwa, I mentioned that it was like coming. But yeah, I would have had it. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it goes well. You'd probably know from like my post about it, whether it went well or not, but it's been a lot, like preparing the house for the introduction. Like when you have your in-laws come and meet your family for the first time and literally like they bring in loads of people. I'm going to have loads of people at the house. You want the house to be perfect. So I've been doing a lot of gardening and harvesting as well. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, you would have seen on my stories that I pulled some spring onion from my garden, which I'm very proud of.
It did look very good.
Oh, thank you, producer Nisha. Thank you so much. It was delicious too. And I've planted some carrots. Apparently, like April is a good time to plant certain breeds of carrots. I planted some carrots so I can pull them out in summer. And then what else did I plant? Lots of primrose, hardy primrose, resilient stuff, and some daffodils as well. So yeah, I've been making the garden and the house look pretty with the help of my family. We've been doing so much, but hopefully, fingers crossed, my intro will go well. I'm sure you already know what time it is. It is Tea Time with Toni, where we tackle some of your dilemmas. Obviously, as always, we've got producer Anisha here to talk us through the dilemmas for the week. Producer Anisha, I'll hand it over to you.
Hello. So our first dilemma says, "Hello, Toni. I hope this email finds you well. I really love your pod, so thank you for taking the time to read this. I come from an East African country, but I had the privilege of coming to the US for college. After less than 2 years of working, I was laid off and eventually had to leave the US due to visa limitations when you aren't employed. I blame myself a lot for what happened, and the toughest part has been being away from the community of friends I had built. I'm back home in my home country, making my way here, but I feel very behind, lazy, and irresponsible for having lost my opportunity to live in the US. My friends all work in top companies and are getting promoted, getting visas, and living nicely. I'm happy for them, but recently it is becoming harder and harder to hear of their successes. I feel bitter because I keep thinking that I had the opportunity to be like them, but I wasted it, and now I am where I am. I'm working on finding my way back to the US, but not feeling hopeful due to my own attitude and the current political situation. It's so hard to celebrate my friends' wins when they are a constant reminder of where I could have been, but I am not, and I don't see a path forward. What can I do to accept my new reality?"
Oh, that's a tough one. Well, first off, I want to applaud her for her self-reflectiveness, right? Because there are a lot of people that experience quite negative emotions and difficult emotions, but they're not like acutely aware of the root, the source, why they're feeling this way. And she's obviously displayed a lot of emotional intelligence here to be able to say, you know what, I'm feeling this negative emotion and it is tied to this and it is affecting my relationships with my friends in this way. So just being aware that you are harboring some bitterness. I don't want you to feel ashamed because there are a lot of people who struggle to admit when they're feeling a bit envious or jealous of friends. And jealousy is one of these emotions that it's like a natural human emotion that we must learn to control, right? We must learn to get to a place where we don't really experience it, but you shouldn't feel bad for having experienced it because sometimes people get a bit envious, people get a bit jealous, right? So I will say that. I will say the fact that you can acknowledge that is something to be proud of. And the fact that you are willing to approach this in like a pragmatic way is really great. So you're a step ahead in that sense. Another thing that I want to stress is that it seems like you are blaming yourself heavily for being laid off. But having a lot of friends in America, one thing I will tell you, that country lays people off like it's a sporting activity, right? Whether or not they're performing well or performing badly or performing average. I have friends who have received awards at work and the month later they've been laid off.
Oh my God.
A lot of the time, it has nothing to do with performance.
Yeah.
It's actually rooted in like budgets or cutting budgets or trying to free up money to give the top dogs big bonuses or doing it because another company has done it and God knows what. My American friends will tell you for free, like it's part and parcel of working in the US. Like you can get laid off at any point, even if you're doing a decent job. So please don't beat yourself up and think, oh, you're useless, you didn't perform well. And that's the reason you got laid off. It's probably not that simple, right? So consider that. I think the more important thing right now for you is to change your perspective when it comes to showing up for people and being happy for friends. Because I honestly do believe that how we show up for people reflects on like how things kind of work out for us, like almost like a karmic response, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like in being happy and being positive, we are attracting positive energy our way. We are also responding to people more positively, which makes them want to respond to us more positively. They may give us opportunities. They may help us in certain ways. So I think that's what you need to do. My advice is to consider the fact that your friends and their successes are not a reflection of you and your inability. Those things exist in a separate area, in a separate part of life, right? Your friends can win, but in them winning, that doesn't mean that you are losing, right? It just means now is their time and your time's a little later. There's been times where my friends have had wonderful opportunities, been in great relationships, have been really successful at something and it's not happening for me, but I didn't take it as a sign that it wouldn't. If anything, their success was a reminder that, oh my God, it's possible, right? So please change your perspective in that sense. I want you to see your friends doing what they're doing in America, succeeding in their jobs, getting promotions. And instead of thinking, damn, why is it not happening to me? Why is it happening to them? I want you to check yourself when you have those thoughts and instead remind yourself that, you know what? If it can happen for them, it can happen for me. If they can have this opportunity, it can be possible for me. I can get it again. I'm hoping that was helpful. I know we've got another dilemma on the way because we always do two here. So what is dilemma number 2, producer Nisha?
This one says, Toni, I need your help. I feel like I'm self-sabotaging my relationship. Ooh. My boyfriend is one of the kindest people I know. He's never given me a reason to doubt him, but because of the trauma I experienced with my ex, I can't help but overthink our relationship.
Okay.
It's like I'm just ready for the ball to drop and for everything to fall apart. I find myself accusing him of things and then feeling stupid afterwards, or checking his phone, finding nothing and feeling even more ridiculous. How can I learn to trust him? Some of my girls need to listen to this. So if you're listening, get them ears.
So they have like past trauma that they project onto their like current partner.
I literally had this conversation with my friend like the other week.
Wow.
And I was like, stop self-sabotaging.
Oh.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's a very easy thing to do. When you've been in a difficult relationship.
It's so easy to do.
Yes, or a toxic relationship. Yep. Sometimes you forget that like everyone isn't your ex.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to just assume the worst because the worst is what you experience.
Yeah.
When there are good people out there. So it's one thing saying like, oh, remind yourself that there are good people out there. Everyone isn't your ex. But that's not always easy to do. Mm-hmm. I think on a more practical level, because even I've been there in the past where I've been through difficult things and I've entered a relationship and I've had to fight that demon in my head that is telling me to, fuck shit up because you're just assuming the worst. And I've had to work so hard to fight that demon in the past. And in fighting it, one thing that really helped me was focusing on action. Like, what is the person's action telling you?
Yeah.
what are the messages their actions are relaying? Because it's one thing, like when people are talking, yeah, people could say anything, right? People can say anything to make you feel good, to make you feel happy, to make you feel seen, right? Just momentarily. But in their actions, that's when you see the truth. So I have no doubt that you're with a great guy because you've told us you're with a great guy. Girl, you look through the phone and you ain't found nothing. I would, by the way, I do not recommend looking through phones. I do think that is an invasion of privacy. And we must learn to trust people. But that's why you're here. That's why we're doing this dilemma, right? So you looked through the phone, you found nothing, right? And for you to say he's a good guy, he must be a good guy. I want you to focus on his actions and remind yourself of his positive traits through how he treats you day to day. The little things, the big things, the in-between things that he does to reflect that he has great character. Second thing I want you to do, and this is another thing that helped me, I had to ask myself, if this man judged me on the basis of how his ex-girlfriend behaved, and his interaction with me was led by how she behaved, would I be happy? Would I be happy if his decisions and actions and our relationship was built on his understanding of her instead of his understanding of me? And then just that thought alone was like, whoa, okay, that is not fair. It's not fair for me to be judged on the basis of someone else. It's not fair for me to judge other people on the basis of someone else. And that really put me in check, like focusing on action and also thinking, you know what, is this even fair to this person? Would I like this? Another thing that I think is really important to do when it comes to trust is it helps to do little activities to remind yourself of like the good in people. Like even just sitting down and writing qualities of like what makes someone a good person, like all the good traits you really love in someone. It's a nice reminder to just like make you feel more grounded. And although like people say we shouldn't run to our friends every time there is an issue, whenever we're having problems, I do agree. I think it's important to learn to trust your own instinct and your own judgment. However, sometimes it pays to run to your friend if you have a friend that is very, very sensible. So my best friend is such an overthinker and I am her grounding friend. Sometimes she'll be overthinking and she knows to call me so I can be like, yo, 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 yo. Maybe there's a reason he didn't do this. Yo, yo, yo. Maybe there's a reason he said that. Maybe there's a reason he didn't pick up. He could be in a meeting. Let's just calm down for a second.
That's
right?
literally means Sophia. Sophia's like, Anisha, let's be logical here. And I'm like, no.
I have that logical friend. Like I'm like, there are logical reasons for everything. Even sometimes the craziest thing. Like, have you ever heard a story, or even maybe you know someone personally? Like I even know a friend who's been through this. Like where someone doesn't do something and you're wilding, you're switching, you're like, how could this man? He forgot this. Da da da. Come to find out, my guy was in a car accident, was in the hospital.
Yeah.
And there you are wilding on him, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes it pays to just like speak to a logical friend who can be like, okay, relax.
Yeah.
Let's think about the logical reasons why this might have occurred or may not have occurred. So I think that's also important. So focusing on his good traits, writing stuff down when you want to ground yourself, speaking to grounding friends, and also asking yourself how you would feel if the shoe was on the other foot. Those are all really important things. Trust is something that obviously does not get built overnight. You just don't often wake up and just all of a sudden, oh yeah, I'm going to be super trusting. But we learn to be trusting through not just trusting ourselves and our decisions, but also in observing, right? And that's why I think it's so important to observe people's behaviors and their actions towards you, because that will help you build the trust. And also it's really important, I think, to be very, very transparent with our partners and to talk about the things we struggle with. Remember when I did the episode with Taiwo where we were talking about that time we had a discussion and I said to him like, I need help to ask for help. I need help to trust you to be able to do things for me. I need help to be more vulnerable and to show up more vulnerable. And he understood that and he appreciated me talking about that. You need to talk to your boyfriend and say, you know what? Sometimes I'm bugging. And I know I'm bugging, and this is the reason why I'm bugging, and I'm trying my hardest to do better, and please can you support me with that? But I put my hands up and I say I have this flaw and I'm working on it. And just the admittance of like struggle and willingness to be vulnerable when we're with the right people, it's such a blessing because they understand us better. And it also shapes how they kind of like navigate the relationship with us because they have this understanding. Because if you're not talking about it, then you look through my guy's phone. I mean, I don't even know if he knows you look for his phone. Like, did you look for his phone, not find anything and think, let me just shut my mouth? Or did you look for his phone, not find anything and open up? Like, I don't know. Maybe you don't say that if it's happened and it's in the past, just keep that to yourself. But my point is, you need to be open about how you're feeling and the things you struggle with. And from the sounds of it, he's a nice guy and he'll support you through that. But girl, please do not sabotage this relationship, because let me tell you, even good men, good women, everyone has their limit. Everybody has their limit. And it's not easy to find really nice guys, great guys. Let me tell you, 99% of these guys out there, you look through the phone, you will find something. You're going to find something, right? So yeah, please just remind yourself of the fact that you have this great guy in front of you. Remind yourself of his good traits and understand that you are very blessed and very lucky to have someone in your life that you can put your hands up and say is a good person with great character. And just remind yourself that that's not common. It's not easy to find. And hopefully that will get you in check. I really hope this advice was helpful. And if, like producer Nisha, you actually know people who could benefit from this advice, please send this podcast episode to them. Let them know about the pod. If you have any dilemmas that you want us to tackle, hit us up via email, tony@tonytoldmepod.com, or you can send us a DM at tonytoldmepod. Next, we have Sisterhood Spotlight, where we're going to delve into the nitty-gritty parts of overthinking. Overthinking, where do I start? It is truly the enemy of happiness in so many ways. Overthinking can be detrimental to our confidence. It can be detrimental to our relationships, as we have heard in the previous dilemma. It can be detrimental to just our life in general, even our work. It's something, if you do, and as someone who is a recovering overthinker, I did it a lot, but it's something you have to tackle and you have to handle. I'm going to talk a little bit about overthinking, where it stems from, how I have overthought in the past, and things you can do to resolve it and change it and get rid of it. Producer Nisha, would you say you're an overthinker or not particularly?
Chronic overthinker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is a good episode
so
for
I'm
you.
going to be taking notes.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, not that you're an overthinker, but it's good to know that this will be helpful. So first, let's look at signs that someone may be an overthinker, because not everyone knows they're an overthinker. Some people don't think they're an overthinker, but they definitely are. So the first is super obvious. So replaying things in your head, but particularly replaying conversations.
I'm the worst. I will generally stay up at night and the same thing will replay in my head. And it's like I'm watching myself on TV and I'm like, oh my God, no, why did I do that?
Yeah. I've been there. Yeah. It's like a bit of social anxiety, right? Yeah. I do that so many times. Even to this day, I kind of do that. Well, I'll have a conversation with someone and I'll be like, oh my God, why did you say that? They probably think you're a weirdo. Oh my God, did they hate me? Oh my God, why did I reply like that? Why did I say this? Oh my God, they probably think I'm so weird and so silly. Meanwhile, the person probably isn't even thinking about the conversation.
Any notice of it.
Right? Yeah, they're so unbothered. The thing you're worrying about, they don't care about. But replaying conversations is a big one. So that's a tick for you.
I'm looking at this list, Tony, and it's all ticks.
You think you have all of them? We'll see. So another side, and I mentioned my best friend in this because she does this. I'm going to call her out here. She does this. But another sign is rarely making decisions on your own and running to your friends or family to validate your choices. The amount of times I've had to tell my bestie off to be like, you know what you need to do. You're calling me because you just need me to confirm it. You need to learn to trust yourself more. And my best friend, she's capable of making great decisions, but there's a lack of self-belief and self-trust there. And that's a big sign. I see you nodding. Producer Nisha, do you run to your friends to validate your choices before you make big decisions? Okay, yeah, that's another sign that you're an overthinker.
Over the silliest things as well. I'll call my mum and be like, Mum, should I get a takeaway tonight? And she's like, Anisha, really? And I'm like, I just need help deciding, do I?
That is hilarious.
But yeah.
Okay, so tied to that, seeking constant reassurance. So doing something and being like, are you sure I did okay? Are you sure? Then go to someone else. Was that okay?
See, this one I'm not so bad at.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that's good to know. So this isn't a tick for you.
Yeah.
Because some people are like that. They'll step out in an outfit and be like, do I look all right? Do I look all right? Is everything okay? And then they'll go to the other friend, do I look all right? Because they're overthinking what they're doing. They're overthinking how they're presenting. So that desire for constant reassurance is a big one. Over preparing in a way that wastes time or resource. You are ready to do something. You're ready to take on a task. You're ready to do a job, but you feel like you're not ready. and you do the absolute most, whether it's spending loads of money to prepare, whether it's wasting loads of time planning, whether it's basically like perfection paralysis, just over preparing because of this desire for perfection that is actually unattainable, but you're just overthinking every little detail. Struggling to relax or even sleep. This one is so funny to me because I feel like this is why I struggle to meditate, my overthinking. My brain feels like it moves at 1,000,000 times an hour.
Yeah, same.
I've gone to like classes where everyone is like, and they look so relaxed. And I'm thinking about what I'm eating for dinner. I'm thinking about the thing on my to-do list that I haven't done yet. I'm thinking about like the conversation I had with my best friend. I'm thinking about when I'll next see my partner. I'm thinking about everything but relaxing. At night, I struggle to fall asleep. Like, you know those people that get into bed within 5 minutes, gone, snoring. Oh my God. There aren't many people in this life that I envy. Those people, I'm so jealous of people who have that ability. Oh God, another one I'm so guilty of. They take ages to reply to people because they overthink their responses. I did a TikTok once about how I'm really bad at replies, right? And I did a video on the kind of friends like I like to have, and it's people that don't take it too personally, with the understanding that this is one of my biggest flaws. It is a bad trait. I even put my hands up in the video. I said, this is really bad trait. And people felt the need to remind me it was a bad trait. I was like, I literally did that at the beginning of the video.
I just told you it was a bad trait.
So you leave me alone and you're all projecting and attacking me because you haven't heard from your friends in 4 months and now I'm a bad guy. But I did this video about like the type of friends I like to have and people who don't take those replies too personally because I really, really suck, right? And a lot of people were coming for me and they were like, oh, but you're chronically on social media. You're always on social media. But that is the thing. I can be on social media with the understanding that those interactions hold less weight. I can reply or communicate in my own time. And people typically, like, if they are using social media and they're online, they don't really need anything from me, right? But when you're an overthinker, you can take a lot of time to reply to people because you're overthinking your response. You're overthinking what will happen once you respond, the responsibility that is going to come with the response, the action you're going to have to take. So if you're already overwhelmed, oh yeah, it's so hard to reply to people because you're just overthinking every little detail. Why does it occur? We've talked about some of the signs that you're an overthinker. Those are just a few of the signs that I pulled together, but why does it occur? What is the source? There are actually different types of overthinkers, and it comes from very different places for different people. Without getting too deep into the childhood trauma bag, I'm going to start with that because a lot of people don't realize that overthinking can be tied to childhood trauma. And one of the ways, let me think of an example. Imagine you've grown up with a parent or a caregiver that often criticizes you, criticizes what you do, degrades you, or you've grown up with a caregiver who is unreliable or has brought a lot of stress to your life growing up, right? You may turn into an adult overthinker for various reasons. Number one, you may be thinking about all the negative what ifs as an adult, right? Because you grew up as a child trying to anticipate all the bad things that would happen. You got so used to bad things happening. You would then anticipate them as a means of protection. You were trying to preserve your safety in some way. If you have a parent that's always criticizing you or degrading you or making you feel stupid, you may have like low self-trust. So you don't fully trust your own judgment. You're always second guessing yourself. You're always looking to other people for validation, for reassurance, because growing up, people didn't validate your decisions. People, your caregivers didn't make you feel confident enough to make decisions and stand on them firmly. You felt like you were dumb, you were stupid. And in feeling like that, as an adult, you don't feel confident in how you show up and how you navigate the world. So you're constantly overthinking everything you do, and you need people to confirm and reassure you and validate you in some way. Also, this is the one that's true for me, right? Anxiety. sometimes it's not always rooted in childhood trauma, but even anxiety is often rooted in childhood trauma, but sometimes it's not always rooted in childhood trauma. Sometimes you could be someone with a very anxious disposition for various reasons. And that anxiety, whether it's social or just general anxiety, can lead you to a place of overthinking because your mind is in a constant loop, is constantly trying to solve problems that may not even exist yet. And that is why you're overthinking. And tied to that, another thing that I suffer with, perfectionism. Sometimes the anxiety you feel about overthinking is rooted in perfectionism. When you set really high standards for yourself, that can lead to overthinking because you're like ruminating on everything. You need everything to just be right? And then you overthink everything in the process. And ironically, sometimes that can lead to one of my favorite terms again, perfection paralysis, where you need everything to be so perfect that you don't actually do anything at all.
Yeah.
You don't do anything at all. Past experiences, like maybe you didn't grow up in a difficult environment, but you had a really difficult traumatic relationship, right? And like the dilemma we heard earlier where the young lady said that she felt like she was sabotaging her relationship because of her past trauma. Sometimes difficult past experiences, even outside our caregivers, like with siblings, with friends, with partners, can lead to us overthinking. It's definitely affected me in different ways. Like some of the ways is, like I said, slowing my progress because I need everything to be perfect. Another way it's affected me is struggling to develop new friendships, I think, because I overthink the way people relate to me.
Yeah.
I overthink the way people perceive me. I overthink my responses to people. I don't know whether you ever had this growing up, and I think my overthinking also stems from this. So when I moved to the UK, I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I moved from Nigeria to Oxford. And I remember feeling so out of place because I had a Nigerian accent. I was black in a school that was predominantly white. And I didn't know anyone, and it was just strange for me. And for the longest time, I felt like I didn't belong because even when I moved to a middle school and that had a bit more diversity, the majority of the girls that were black in my middle school were Caribbean. And I think I was the only girl of African descent in my year, or maybe not school, but year of the time.
Yeah.
And I remember constantly feeling like a bit out of place. Like I felt like I wasn't English enough for the English kids, but then my blackness wasn't like the right type of blackness for the black kids.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of felt weird anyway. And then when I went to university in London, I remember feeling out of place because like everyone was from London for whatever reason. Like everyone decided to go to uni in London. They were from London. And I felt like I didn't really know many people that were like from outside of London. So I felt like weird in that sense.
Yeah.
And I think like that constant feeling of like not entirely belonging made me overthink a lot of things in a lot of social interactions growing
so weird
up.
that you say that. That's legit my whole childhood.
Really? Yeah, I guess you can relate.
I've never had
obviously
someone like word it so well for me to be like, oh yeah, that was literally me.
Yeah, and do you know what's really weird about it and what's kind of sad about it? Maybe to other people we did belong, but we didn't feel like we belonged.
I literally always said like I felt like I stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
It was only until I went to uni that I would say I felt like Anisha.
Yeah.
And like I was truly myself.
Yeah.
Because when I was growing up, I always felt like the odd one out. And I always felt like I just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I so relate to that.
Yeah.
Like even sometimes as an adult, I still have those feelings where I'm like, I feel like I'm just kind of me and that exists in a silo.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I cling to my family so much because it's like, you get me, you understand me. We should have called this the Overthinkers podcast. You got you over there, you got me. Like, a lot of overthinking in this room. But yeah, we've talked about overthinking, signs, where it stems from, how it's affected me. But I also want to talk about like how to resolve it because it's one thing being an overthinker, but how do you change it? How do you stop overthinking? First off, you need to call it out when it happens. When you catch yourself overthinking, acknowledge it and call it out. And also change your perspective. We often assume that overthinking is like inherently bad, but it's a problem when it's aimed at thinking negatively, right? or it has like a negative undertone. Overthinking, when it's positive, is just called daydreaming, is it not, right?
Yeah.
So overthinking in itself is not inherently bad. It's about what you're thinking about. I always talk about like positive possibilities, and Tiwa, who was on last week, she mentioned that too. She's a big advocate of that. And I want you to remember that when you are overthinking in a negative way and thinking about all the bad that could happen, call yourself out and then reframe your perspective and start thinking about the positive possibilities. We walk into rooms and we think, oh my God, what if everyone hates me? What if they think I'm weird? What if you show up and everyone loves you and everyone thinks you're amazing? So in your overthinking, catch it. It's like that TFL thing. Catch it, kill it, bin it. What was it? Like the flu or coronavirus. Catch it, kill it, bin it. But that's it. Catch it, kill it, kill the thought, bin the thought, because you're thinking about something positive instead, right?
Oh,
you're thinking about a positive possibility to replace the negative possibility. You also need to throw away your desire for perfection if you're trying to tackle your overthinking. Accept good enough. There is peace in being good enough. The only time I say to people, throw away good enough, is when you're trying to find like a life partner and, oh, they'll do, they're good enough. No, don't settle. We don't do good enough there. But in life in general, oh my God, I'm an advocate for good enough. Sometimes, like even when it comes to planning the pod, I'll write bullet notes. I'll be like, yeah, good enough. This is good enough. I have the foundation for what I'm going to talk about. Yeah, good enough. Because if I overthink, I'll be up till 4 a.m. writing notes for the podcast. I'll come here. I'll just be tired. I'll be disheveled. I won't be thinking straight. Good enough. Also, I want you to consider what you can control and forget the rest. Like in our overthinking, we are often thinking about things that are out of our control. Even with the first dilemma that we had on this episode, I got laid off. Oh my God, does that mean I'm bad? I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah.
Sometimes things are out of your control and they have absolutely nothing to do with you, right? Consider what is in your control. What do you actually have control over? That is the only thing, that area or the area of things you have control over are the only things you should consider. It is F the rest. Forget the rest. Don't ruminate on the rest. Don't worry about the rest because you don't have any control over them. So in thinking about them and replaying them and overthinking and then getting in this cycle of considering all these things all the time and giving yourself anxiety and stressing yourself out, what outcome changes? The thinking doesn't actually change the outcome because you have limited control over this thing. Worry about the things you have control over. Limit intake of media. I think this is really important because there are some people who overthink because they take in too much. I'm also one of these people. If you're chronically online or you're chronically watching the news or you're always taking in media, you always have something to think about. If it's not the suffering that is going on in the world, it's the political climate in the world. If it's not that, it's this experiment that people are doing. I don't know, this is so random. My partner told me about how like they took some DNA from the woolly mammoth, they mixed it with a mouse, and now they have like this woolly mouse, and they're trying to like look into how, I know, right? Google it. I thought he was fibbing. It's a real thing,
God.
That's the kind of thing that will then make me overthink, because then I'll start thinking, oh my God, what if they unleash this like
woolly mouse
virus or unleash some type of animal that like is detrimental to the environment or the state of the world or whatever. Or like even just being on social media and like, I don't know if you're a TikTok user. I love TikTok, but at the same time, sitting there scrolling, ping, 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 going through video after video after video after video after video. There's only so much our brain can take. Another thing that I will say that has helped me with my overthinking, and one tip, particularly people who believe in God, is to connect with faith. I'm not going to embarrass myself and try to like recall this proverb and then just not share it verbatim. But basically, to summarize, I can't talk for other religious texts, but in the Bible in particular, God reinforces the importance of having faith and having faith in God's work and having faith in God's plan for us. with the understanding that in not having faith, what are we suggesting? What are we implying? We're implying that we don't trust God. We don't trust God's plan. We don't trust our outcomes in God's hands, right? And I think that was really important for me when it came to learning to like stop overthinking, because I had to be like, Toni, you say you believe in God and you believe in God's plan for you and you believe that God loves you, God protects you, then why do you worry about so much? Why don't you allow yourself to be guided by God? Why don't you free up some of that mental space with the understanding that God will take control? That is all from me. Please share, like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Please send this episode to a friend if you feel like they're an overthinker. They may be able to relate, or maybe they can relate to some of the dilemmas. And as always, I'm going to leave you with some positive words for today. I think it's going to tie back to just like not beating yourself up when it comes to overthinking. Like, don't be too hard on yourself. As I've outlined in this pod, overthinking often occurs as a result of things that were not our doing, things that were out of control, traumatic events, hurtful events, or being told certain things that made you question your own judgment, right? Overthinking may not have been caused by you. However, it is your responsibility to tackle said overthinking if you want to live a peaceful, anxious-free, stress-free life. We know that overthinking is tied to stress, and we know that stress increases cortisol that can lead to so many other issues and ailments in the body. I don't want to get sick. I don't want you to get sick. And for that reason, we must tackle our overthinking. So please take on my advice that I shared on this episode. Think of the positive possibilities. Feel no discomfort when you have to call yourself out, because it's not going to change overnight. You're going to keep overthinking. I still overthink, even though I think I've gotten much better, but you're still going to do it sometimes. And you have to be open to calling yourself out to administer change. But it's not your fault. However, it is your responsibility to do something about it for the betterment of your health. But you will get there. I heard from my mum that as you get older, you overthink less because you just accept life for what it is. So let's hope that's the truth. And by the time we're in like our late 40s and 50s and 60s, 70s, we're not overthinking anymore. I'll be right back here next week with a special guest, and we will be discussing the first decade of adulthood. Bye, guys.